Hello, how is everyone? Please let me know if you can hear and the audio is good and clear. Welcome to the show. Let your mayhem be known. I see you, Allison. Welcome. Woohoo! Yes, thank you for showing up and being here with me tonight. Looking forward to it. Yes. Welcome, everyone. Let me get my notes out. It's great to be here. We're in another week. I can't believe it. Episode number 9. Welcome to the show, everyone. Get comfy, settled. This is my favorite part of the week. I look forward to this all weekend. So we made it. Drop some love in the chat. Show some support to each other. This is what it's all about. Pretty soon, we're going to show some love to our guest. And that's one I can't wait for. Welcome to my Mayhem Streamcast tonight. I'm DJ, your host for tonight's conversation. I want to thank StreamYard for powering tonight's show. I'm here every Monday night with a new guest. This is a platform that I have for individuals to come and share their powerful stories. We want to destigmatize and normalize mental health, disability, and traumatic experiences that we all share. This is a place to share that mayhem. We want to create opportunities. We want to connect and be part of the voices that break those stigmas and stereotypes. So welcome. Tonight's guest is going to be one of those powerful voices. She has incredible experiences that deserve to be known. That's why I'm welcoming her. I always add a trigger warning. We want to encourage discretion when we talk about things on the show. They can be difficult and they can be mature in nature. So welcome to my chat. I'm going to welcome everyone. Let's go ahead and start. We have Amanda. Welcome, Amanda. I miss you. Juanita, thank you for being here. It's so good to see you too. Your content is amazing. Keep educating and helping everyone understand how important it is for the hearing impaired community, the deaf community we love so much. Let me know if the captions are working. Twitch family, let me know if the captions are working. I appreciate it so much. Usama, thank you for being present. Always such a good supporter. Facebook representing. Thank you. Allison, yes, you can hear me. Great. Just wanted to make sure. Hopefully the music is playing and everyone can hear that. Usama, you're amazing. Jihan, thank you for coming. You're an amazing guest. I keep thinking of our conversation. We need to have a number 2. There's still so much left to be told. So Jenny, another amazing guest from last week. We had a great conversation. Yes. Oh, welcome. Okay, I love it. We have a full house. This is great. I think we're going to go ahead and I got to go ahead and say, if you're new here, please don't forget to tap subscribe, the follow button, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, wherever you're tuning in from, please. We appreciate your support. You want to connect with me? LinkedIn is that place. I appreciate finding me on LinkedIn. You can check out my page there. I also have a website, silverfoxtalks.com. So wherever you're tuning in from, we appreciate the support. If I can be of any assistance, please reach out. Okay, friends of the light, thank you. I hope everyone in the chat is having a great time. Tonight's guest, we're going to start to bring her out. This is amazing. She's a life strategist, an alchemist, writer, podcaster. She has an amazing business. So she's certified life coach. She focuses on empowerment, self-esteem, purpose, She's built a brand around her work with highly sensitive people and empathic individuals, such as myself. And they've come from toxic or abusive relationships, something we're going to talk about tonight, that want to start their healing journey. So really looking forward to talking about her and her mayhem and how she's moved forward and how she continues to help others, assist others through her work. So she's got a blog, she's got a podcast, she's got a business. We're going to talk about that tonight, and let's welcome her now, Miss Carol Campos. Thank you. Such a joy.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it's always a pleasure when we have our chats, our energy, and just hearing your story is always just something that so many of us, I think, can relate to. So that's why I just thought it was so important to have you here to have this conversation tonight. Let me give some love to everyone that's out there. I know they're talking to each other. Everyone, please welcome our guest, Miss Carol. If you don't know her, please connect with her. We want to share her story, empower her story that so many of us can really probably can relate to. She says she can't wait to hear your story. So we have a lot of individuals, really exciting to be here today. Okay, so let's go. Where should we start, my dear? Where do we start?
Wherever you want to start. Open book here.
Yeah, well, it's really up to you. I know you have a story to share, and you have a business that provides so much care and services to individuals, and you do a phenomenal job. And I know you have a huge following that really appreciates your work and your energy and your guidance and how you just empower others through.
Oh, thank you.
So yes, welcome. So it's really up to you, my dear.
Yeah, well, why don't I start with, I'll probably start with my early 20s, because that really is what caused me to do what I'm doing now. So, well, first of all, when I was about 18, I met a boy, and you know, it was right before I went to college, and we dated on and off through college. And when I finished, we ended up living together. So by this time I'm 22. And we got an apartment, and it was one of those things where my mother said, it'll last 3 months. And she just didn't see it lasting. And very quickly, I realized something was wrong. He would spend an inordinate amount of time in the bathroom. I could hear like the lighter flicking constantly. And I had no idea what was going on. Well, turns out he was addicted to crack cocaine. And so this is...
Oh, no. Uh-oh. Carol. Oh, no. Let me just look in the comments. I'm doing great. Oh, no. Oh, hi, Charlie. Thank you. What's going on, my dear Carol? Let me see if I can pull her and re-add her. No? Oh, I'm not sure what happened to my dear Carol. Maybe she'll jump back. I guess that's what happens in the world. No worries. We're not going to worry. We're just going to hope that she comes back. It happened to me earlier. I had a little power outage and I freaked out and I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And you just kind of hope that everything's work out. But, you know, sometimes you have technical difficulties when you're in these types of situations and virtual scenarios, and you just kind of have to keep working through it. So I don't see her in the green room. It definitely happens. Yes, Jackie. Don't see her in the green room. So maybe she'll give a minute to restart her computer, and it'll be fine. We're going to continue with art. But let me go ahead and give you her information while she's not here. Let's see, for Carol, the divinebreadcrumb.com. That's her podcast, and carolcampos.com. That's her website. It's a really phenomenal website. I was looking through it, and she's really providing some amazing services to everyone. And she also has her Instagram page, something that she's currently wants everyone to see and check out. So I'm going to leave that up. So we'll see if she comes back. I don't see her yet. Let me know if you guys, there's that word. Let me know if anybody, everyone, the music is available, and also the captions. That was another thing that I was wondering. So thank you, Sama. It happens. I give credit to those podcasters and live streamers that sit there for an absolute full hour and they continue to speak and have those conversations and do it by themselves, all by themselves. Oh, she's back. It happens. Technical problems. I know. She's made it back.
Oh my goodness. And I don't know what's going on. Okay.
You're fine.
Anyway.
We made it through.
Hopefully it stays on.
What could go wrong?
I know. Anyway, so I'll get back to the story. So I'm in a situation that I am such a fish out of water because at that point, like I said, he's doing drugs in the bathroom. I have no idea. And so that started on this crazy journey of, first of all, learning how to deal with that, because in my head, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, love will conquer all. Of course it will, won't it? I've seen all the Disney movies. I mean, that's just how it works. And of course, I made just bad decision after bad decision. So, at one point I'm thinking, all right, we'll get married. That, of course, will make him want to change, right? And of course, things just got worse. And I watched, he was forging checks. Everything we had that wasn't nailed down was sold or gone. Then I decided, well, surely if we have a baby, that will make things different. This is the wisdom of a 23-year-old. I was a very young 23-year-old. And of course, it just got worse. And there came a point, and again, I was still learning as I went. I kept thinking, if I love this person enough, they'll change. But it really wasn't love. What I was doing was just trying to control the situation. And the more I tried to control it and manipulate it, the more things were blowing up. So it got worse and worse. And within that, there was all kinds of abuse, lying, infidelity, and all the craziness that goes along with that. And in the meantime, I just kept keeping myself away from my family because I was embarrassed. And so I kind of was alienated and by myself in this situation.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that are associated with a lot of these, the behaviors that we have, that we share in these types of situations. Whether we are, again, going back to those feelings of shame and guilt because we're in a relationship or in this sort of situation with this person, this partner that has these behaviors that are, and you're supposed to be the supportive partner, and everyone's portraying that judgment, and that puts you in a tough situation.
It does. And you brought up a good point too, because I think when you're with a loved one who has an addiction, it's very frustrating because you feel like if they loved me, they would stop. They are doing this to me. And you don't realize until much later that they're already beating themselves up. They're trying to deal with their own thing, that their purpose in doing this has zero to do with you. And what ends up happening is you as the loved one, you become just as sick. So they're addicted to the drugs, but we become addicted to them. And what are they doing? And what are they thinking? And where are they going? And when are they coming home?
All consuming, all engulfing.
It's absolutely all consuming. And one of the things, DJ, you and I talked about was what becomes your normal. And so, normal gets very skewed when you're in that type of relationship. And I remember when my daughter was probably maybe 2.5, 3 years old. And this is back when we had VHS tapes. So she had a bunch of Disney tapes and some Sesame Street tapes. And when I would go to do dishes or do some cleaning, sometimes I'd plop her in front of the TV and pop in a tape. And I kept thinking, oh, he's gonna take the VCR, because we had already gone through a few VCRs for whatever he was selling it for. And so I had this idea, well, all right, what I'll do is anytime I go out in the car, I'm going to unplug the VCR and bring it in the car with me. So I'll get her in the car seat. The VCR will be right next to her. And back then, we didn't have the camera phones. And he had kind of an elaborate system with the wires and the speakers. So I literally drew a diagram of where everything had to plug in. And that became normal, to drive around with a VCR in my back seat, because I was so afraid that that was going to disappear, and that was something that our daughter enjoyed. But I didn't think that anything was weird about that at the time. I just thought, well, I'm just protecting what we have. So that's just one example. It's it makes you a little crazy yourself.
Well, Allison has a comment. Addiction is such a tough situation. My stepson was addicted to drugs. I can relate to what you're saying, Carol. Thank you for sharing, Allison.
Yeah, it's a really tough thing. And then it,
my friend Amanda, that's a real life friend. I've known her for years. We go back, real life friends. We've had these conversations in real life so many times.
Right. And well, that's the thing. You realize how many people are affected by this. You think you're all alone when you're going through it. And I remember the first time going to a Nar-Anon meeting, which, for anyone who doesn't know, that's really the meeting for the families or loved ones to help. It's to help yourself, not just the person you're with. And that was the first time I really saw, like, oh my God, there's so many other people dealing with the exact same thing or way worse.
Right. Those groups are powerful. I had made a note earlier, and to something I wanted to say when we did touch on this, and it was just because we're all working professionals and those that are listening, but for us that are the working professionals, it doesn't exempt us from this. Many of us are dealing with this in our private lives and can relate to this and may feel that shame and may feel that guilt and are not ready to share, and that's okay. But we want to welcome the conversation and open up the conversation to let them know that they're not alone and they don't have to go through that alone, that they can always reach out when they're ready and that there's resources out there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And you go ahead.
Oh no, it's just about the professional, and just being on that platform, and how LinkedIn and us as working women with businesses and really trying to achieve certain things, there's certain expectations that, just because we're talking about this and we're having these conversations on camera, once the camera goes off, doesn't mean that many of us don't have to deal with these privately.
That's so true. And so the story that I told, I was in my 20s, and then later on, he had relapsed. Oh gosh, this was, by this time I'm in my 40s and was, had gone pretty far in my career. And it was crazy that, you're perceived as a certain way in your career, and you're, Miss Businesswoman doing your thing. And yet at home, it's chaos, and there's a lot of people suffering in silence. And
as an individual, all that transitioning, changing from the mentality, going from the home mentality to the work mentality to the all the roles we play in our lives.
Complete double life. Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All of that.
Yeah. And sometimes I drag myself into work because at 2 a.m. he was banging on the door because he wanted money. And of course I was trying to control all of that, I'll have the bank accounts, I'll do everything. Another thing that was quote unquote normal is I take my purse into the shower with me. And even after he and I split up for, and thankfully I think he's doing okay now. We went our separate ways, but for a long time, it was very hard for me to leave my purse downstairs. Yeah. Oh, it sticks with you. And that's part of that sickness. It's just what seemed normal becomes so ingrained.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that these are just, again, so many different individuals could share different behaviors like that, then they had to go and realize, like, wow, I didn't realize how that was really either contributing or just in making the problem worse, but I thought I was doing it for protection, and just so many different reasons that we do things and we don't really realize. And then when we're out of it, it's just the behavior continues. And again, we don't see anything different. We didn't know any better. I mean, it was normal. It was the way it was common day-to-day.
Yeah, so it is. And that's why I think it's good that we're talking about it, so that people can see, anyone who's going through any of this on either side of it. Because that was the other thing. I mean, I think I had always considered myself to be this nice, kind person, but there were many times where I was not kind to him because I was so angry. How could you do this? How could you do this, that, or the other? And it's like basically beating somebody when they're down. And so it wasn't until later on I saw my role in the dynamic, what I could have done differently. And it's not about blame or whatever. It's just, it's not all one-sided. And so there was forgiveness that had to happen for him, but also for myself, which was harder. Yeah.
That's a conversation. That's a show right there. That healing journey. And we haven't even gotten there yet, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there. But this is just part of the pieces that make us who we are, these experiences. And I know we talked a little bit before the show about the violence in these types of relationships, and interpersonal violence is something that is important. I always want to bring awareness to. And again, you don't have to suffer in silence when you're going through these things, even though it can be very difficult, or even to just realize that you might be going through that and acknowledge that. But to bring awareness to those is really important. I just, it's really important to think about how we can help each other and create those conversations to bring them to light and let people maybe be able to find comfort and an opportunity to connect, so they can find the resources they need to be able to move forward into their healing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so at what point did you start realizing that there was a change, you were ready to make a change, that maybe that this life that you were living is, there's more to it, and that you need to help yourself first?
Yeah. I'd like to say that I learned quickly, but I'm one of these, it takes like a brick to the head to realize, like, I think the universe gives you signs and little hints and nudges, and I just wasn't listening. And it took a long time. And he and I had even split up, and then years later got back together because then he was clean. But then after 10 years of sobriety, he fell off the wagon again. And I think, so we stayed together a couple more years after that. And it was, I'd like to say something major happened, but I think at some point it's just, I think I'm done. Awareness. Yeah, I think I'm just done. And it was interesting because about a year before we ended things, I really started my spiritual journey. I was starting to get attracted to, energy healing or talking to your angels and guides and things like that. And I remember him being a little threatened by that because my attention was no longer focused on what he was doing. I had these new interests that he wasn't sure about. So, but it's interesting just the way things unfold, because clearly I needed that, because once we split, that kind of took off.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's a really, it happens to a lot of us, especially that have those spiritual, those empathic abilities that can really sense that we can find healing and outside the situation. And if we allow that healing and we welcome that, it's available, it's there. But it's a journey that only you and you alone can take, and you have to choose to take it, and you have to choose to welcome all the emotions that come with it.
Yeah.
All pieces and parts of that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of healing that happened. I think, for a long time, I had kind of lost my voice and, who was I to do this, that, or the other? When I was younger, I loved to write. But I got to this point where, oh my gosh, I put that on the back burner for so long. And I don't know if I can do that. And the imposter syndrome, who do you think you are? Who's going to want to read what you wrote? All the negative self-talk. And so just healing all of that. And that still comes up. I think it's layers. You heal a little bit and then
absolutely.
Suddenly a situation comes up and you think, oh, I thought I dealt with this already. But there's always that other layer to go through.
Yeah, I think there's like lots of different little, like you said, layers, little, you're going to come back to it. You're going to retouch on it. It's an ever evolving door of healing.
Yes.
I don't think there's never fully healed and everything's magical and perfect. And
right. I think
it doesn't hurt anymore. Yeah. That's not reality either.
Right. I think we're transitioning. I think we're dead at that point if it's all over.
Right. But just really honestly, just being able to get past all that pain and that trauma and everything that we go through in those situations when we're having all these outside external influences, putting our internal hearts and ourselves and we lose ourselves, like what you were touching on, and then it's just finding ourselves again and to get back to a better place, to move forward. And that's really why we're here. This is why we end up in this space online and we start coming forth with these services, and this you can really open yourself up to other people at that point. Yeah, I think it's really a beautiful journey, and we can still continue even in our own healing as I continue to heal today, yesterday, tomorrow, next week.
Exactly.
But we do it together and we show support for one another. Examine and re-examine triggers. Yeah, so important in healing. They always come up.
They do. Although it's interesting now, I can talk about this. I'm not going to say his name, but if I did, there's no charge with that anymore. For so many years, I would just get a pit in my stomach. It was all very close and real, and I'm just so detached from it now. But I realize there are a lot of people who are not detached, and they're either going through it or they've just gotten out of it and it's still very fresh. And it does take a long time, and to really be gentle with yourself.
Absolutely. I think it's really important to understand that people are in just different parts of that journey and they can actively be in that situation right now.
Yeah.
Finding ways and that anyone can make themselves available to maybe know some of the signs or be compassionate. I love to talk about compassion when being with others and just not knowing another person's story, the things you say, understanding that other people can have triggers by any other environmental factors, smells, sounds.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot.
There's a lot that is in that in itself. So.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. Yeah, I'm very sensitive to smells of things. That'll bring me right back to certain memories, and of course, music.
Songs.
Songs are a big one. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, and I think it's important for us to know those, like to be aware and to know that it's gonna happen. Again, going back to we're never fully healed from trauma, but just being able to better cope and just living in the day and in our moment, trying to just know what it's going to help us get by and know that tomorrow's a new day, or that the next day there might be new opportunity to make change or find resources.
And withholding judgment for people, I think, for somebody who's never been in this situation, it's so easy to say, well, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just leave? And I get it. From the outside, it just seems like a no-brainer. Why are you going to subject yourself or your child or children to this situation? But it's a lot more complicated than that. You know, in my situation, I had known this man for 5 years. There was love. I mean, there was years where this behavior was not exhibited. So you were constantly wondering, like, well, but where is he? Where's that person I knew? And you're waiting for that to come back. So there's a lot of layers to this, and it's not so easy to extricate yourself from it, sometimes physically and mentally and emotionally.
Right. And that's why I had said a little bit earlier already in this show, just because we're working professionals doesn't mean that many of us or some of us, or maybe someone is not going through it. You can't just assume that we're exempt from it, and that compassion for others.
Right.
It's not easy. It's not easy to just shut the door and walk away.
Yeah.
That judgment comes up almost in every conversation. How wicked it could be, and how debilitating, how much it takes from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wow. What else? We keep talking. I mean, the story is powerful. I don't know what to talk about. This is good about misunderstanding, right? People seem to misunderstand this topic, but I think at the same time, if people really just expand their mind, they can see how easy it is to stay. Because when we think of how difficult and complicated life is, and relationships are, and families and interconnected things are, it can be difficult for anyone to leave.
Yeah. You know, and a lot of it, I think sometimes it's a financial thing. I remember thinking, okay, well, I can't get out of this right now because we have 2 car payments, we have this, that, and the other. I mean, this is the way your thinking is, because you're just trying to make sense of it and keep yourself safe. And it really comes down to those very basic needs of clothing, shelter, keeping yourself safe, keeping your child safe. And I remember my daughter, you know, when I kind of had my 2.0 relationship with him, you know, she was not happy about it in the beginning, because she's like, why are you giving him another chance? And I remember saying to her, I said, well, we never tried it as a family with him clean. Like, you know, when you were born, I mean, there were brief moments of him being clean when you were a toddler, but that was it. And, you know, it worked for a little while. But then when he had fallen off the wagon, you know, at this point, she was getting ready to go to college. And it was kind of like, you got to get out of this. And I think it was frustrating for her because, again, I'm thinking that we have all these responsibilities. It's not so easy to just separate everything.
Dissolve.
No. And I knew it was going to be ugly, because if you're dealing with someone who's not in their right frame of mind, you're not going to have these kumbaya conversations about how you're going to divide things up. It's just going to get really ugly, which it did. But it's, you know, it's kind of like, okay, I know I have to go through this to get to the other side. And it's, again, for anyone going through it, you know, I feel for you, because it's not easy. There's just no clear-cut, easy way to go about these things, whether you choose to stay or whether you choose to leave.
Yeah. And really, again, today is about, I always like to bring up, like, not judging others, like we had said, and just understanding that we just never know what other people are going through in private. In their lives, and we want to continue to encourage people to have these conversations with each other and just have an open mind, open heart.
The compassion is big. Well, and I think when you're living this double life, you put up a front, you wear this mask that everything's fine, everything's cool. And, you know, now I'll have people say that I used to work with back then, you know, I had no idea what was going on. And I said, well, that was by design. There was no friggin' way I was going to be sharing.
Just, but, you know, we want to, again, continue to encourage women, men in these situations, to not give up. Oh,
yeah,
so much when's despair.
it is.
Depression sets in, and then you really start to go down the negative hopelessness, and
yeah,
that can be so ugly, and that can be so painful. And for anyone that is in that situation now, the heart, my heart goes out to them.
Yeah, mine as well. And, I know there's resources out there. I know it's scary to reach out for help. Sometimes it's embarrassing. All of those feelings you go through, I get all of that, but, there is help out there.
There's resources, right? And there's so many different people that really are out there to offer assistance. I think this is a really good way to go take the conversation. That if reaching out to individuals out there, finding a way, of course, but we want to be able to steer them to those safe places, those safe places where they can get what they need to be able to move forward again in their healing journey. So let's change gears. Let's get away from that. I really want to move forward to where you're at now. Again, you've got so many things going on with the podcast and your own services that you provide, and you also have the blog that you write on and that you share some beautiful inspirational pieces and personal
thank
pieces.
you. Yeah.
So do you want to which area did you want to talk about a little bit? I mean, it's really up to you. What project are you working on?
Well, my goodness. So about 3 years I decided to leave corporate. I had been there for about 20 years, and I really never felt like I belonged in corporate. But at the time, I was raising my daughter, the whole thing. I wasn't going to rock the boat. Going through that. So there was a lot going on. So I didn't want to rock the boat. But I did get to the point, okay, my daughter's grown. I'm on my own. If ever there was a time to just see what else is out there, this is the time. So I left my job, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to figure out what I want to do. I don't know, in a few weeks, I'll figure it out. And no, that's not what happened at all. I totally spun out. I didn't realize how much my identity was tied to my corporate job, because, I was working for a Fortune 10 company and all the perks that went along with that. And suddenly, who am I? So it was a little difficult. So I ended up hiring a coach, and I worked with him for many months. But during that process, that's when the idea of the podcast, well, actually it came up as an idea for a community to showcase people around the world doing good things. And I kind of got a download to call it the Divine Breadcrumb, which is a phrase I use when, some people might call it a coincidence or synchronicity, a sign. I call them divine breadcrumbs. And
beautiful.
And it could be, it could be something like somebody recommends a book or introduces you to someone, or a divine breadcrumb can also be something like you have a death of a loved one. And so that event sends your life on a new trajectory. So divine breadcrumbs encompass a lot of different things. So anyway, it was funny. I think I was exercising when this kind of came to me, and I thought, okay, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. So I went over to my best friend's house, and I was excited because I thought, okay, I'm on to something. There's something here. I just don't know. And she got excited about it too. And we've decided to do a podcast, and neither one of us knew anything about podcasting. We had no idea what we were doing. And we started a blog of the same name. And just, I started sharing my story through the blog. We started talking to other people through the podcast. And then as I finished my coaching, my coach had said to me, I'm going to be training some coaches. I'm not going to put it on my website. I'm going to pick probably 5 people. I'd like you to be one of them if you're interested in training under me. And I was really excited because the kind of coaching I do, I really marry kind of the practical and the magical energy metaphysics. I mean, obviously we live in a physical world, we have bills to pay, we have responsibilities, but there was something that I felt was missing from traditional coaching tools that were not all of them, but a lot of them would take you right to your goals. And I thought, okay, well, that didn't work for me because, if I thought about my career, I kept moving up the corporate ladder, but I wasn't happy because I didn't take the time to see, okay, is this even what you like? I just followed the map that was laid out before me. It's like you go to school, you go to college, you get a job, even if you hate it, this is what you do. And then you retire and you're done.
Right.
So without that roadmap, I had floundered. But like I said, those were some of the learnings. So that's why the type of coaching he was doing was really appealing to me, because it did bring those things together. So, because I had this wealth of business knowledge and then all of these other soul-aligned interests that I loved. And I really got into energy healing. First I did the Reiki and emotion code and some of the tapping, EFT tapping and things like that. So I incorporate a lot of that. I also get a lot of intuitive hits as I'm with a client. So I use that. And, what I do, it's not for everybody. I mean, there's some people who are just, I just want to get to my goals and that's it. And that's fine. But for me, I like to go a little deeper with the energy work because, all the things we were talking about earlier, when you go through, really any kind of trauma, if your body doesn't process that fully, it gets trapped in the body and there's literal energy blocks. Which is why a lot of times when people go for a massage, it's not unheard of that people cry because things are being moved and shifted. So that everything about that fascinated me. And I really geek out over quantum physics and alchemy and manifestation, all of that. So bringing all of that together.
That's something that's really special about what you do. And it's something that I really do love to believe and follow. So I think that is such a special component. And for me personally, it would be important to have in my coaching. So for anyone that's seeking coaching and it really appreciates that energy healing and can value that the way I do, and some of the people in the chat do, I know that some of them do. It's really like, so I got my, I got like my rose quartz and my amethyst.
Oh yeah, I got my stuff behind me. Yeah.
My salt lamp and
do
a little meditation, try to center myself before, to hoping, that this is a really valuable conversation. It can really provide information to our listeners in the audience, and they can find empowerment and inspiration from this conversation and seek healing and not feel alone. Of course, that's
and that's my hope too. So thanks for saying that, DJ, because I think now that's been my gift in all of this. Sometimes you look at your life and it seems like a string of crappy things, and that's what we focus on because our human brain is just so focused on the negative. But what I've learned is, all of these things had to happen for me to get to where I am, and transmuting what seemed like horrible experiences into something that gives me strength and has me joyful, and I'm able to help people kind of do the same things and empower them and find their voice. I'm a huge believer in that everything unfolds exactly the way it's supposed to. I don't feel like we waste time. Even if you're in a job where you're like, oh my God, I can't wait to get out of here. Don't worry that you're wasting time. You're getting something from that experience, whether it's somebody you're supposed to meet, an experience you're supposed to have. The universe is shifting everything it needs to do to meet what you want, and that takes some time.
Jackie hit it on the...
Yeah.
That's right. That is exactly what Miss Carol, my friend, is all about. It's beautiful light. Absolutely. That's it. Just following those little breadcrumbs that life leads you.
It's so true. And I like a lot of people, I used to get so hung up on what's my purpose. I don't know what my purpose is yet. Because I just turned 54. When I left corporate, I was 51. It's like, okay, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. This is really scary. And then I finally let that go probably a year ago, thinking, you know what? just be curious. Just keep following the next thing. And don't keep trying to wait for that end game, because that will make you crazy. I mean, I know there's a few lucky souls that have said from birth, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be this.
Oh.
Great for you. Yay. I was always kind of jealous of those people who knew right away what they wanted to do. But for most of us, we kind of figure it out as we go along, and it just all evolves, and it's all perfect. That's what we have to remember.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, it's just really taking these moments, and for me, I've always called them like learning moments, educational moments. Just what can I get out of this? What am I going to take away from this? As much as bad and sucky and miserable as I am, what am I learning? There's like, what's the bigger message? Try to accept it and embrace it, and like you said, transmute it. I think in my professional work, that's something that I really do love to do, is transmute energy and work with individuals, and really being able to assist them to process their path and their journey, and to find new opportunities. And
I love that. I love that. Yeah, well, and I love it. It just keeps evolving. What you're doing is evolving. And for me, before we went on air, I was telling DJ that I'm actually changing my website. And around December, my mom had sent me a picture of when I was little by the Christmas tree. And I'm in my little footy pajamas. I'm probably about 2.5 years old. And I looked at this little girl and I thought, oh my gosh, like, she just didn't have a care in the world. She knew she was loved. She wasn't thinking, am I enough? Am I good enough? Of course, Santa will bring me gifts. It was just like, you just knew. And I thought, well, how do I connect with that energy of that little girl? Because she's still there. She's still inside, just like for all of us. And that's why I'm changing my brand. So means brand, but also mission. So currently my website is Carol L. Campos, and I'm changing it to Carol Elizabeth. So, because that was my name growing up, and I had ditched my middle name. And I think there's something very powerful about saying your name.
Yes, absolutely. This is an exercise. Conversation we've had once or twice on the power of saying your own name, owning your name, embracing your name, finding strength in your name.
Exactly. So it's exciting. And then even with my coaching, because I have, I do one-on-one coaching, and I'm kind of shifting a little bit what we talk about, although I still will retain my other coaching programs, but I'm calling it Alchemy Underway. And because I always feel like we're a work in progress constantly. And so that transmutation, that evolution is constantly happening. So that's something I'm really excited about.
Oh, that's great. All right. So Alchemy, what was it?
Alchemy Underway.
Alchemy.
And I haven't, like I said, the website isn't updated yet, but pretty soon. So
that's a fantastic name, and it's so fun.
Well, what was really funny is I'm really into acronyms, and I was kind of like, Alchemy Underway, AU, whatever. But then something told me, go check the periodic table of elements, and AU is gold. How perfect is that for alchemy? So talk about the divine breadcrumb. I'm like, okay, I'm on the right track.
See, and I think that's important. Conversations we have with others that really believe in those divine breadcrumbs, and just when those synchronicities happen, or just being able to identify like that, I'm on the right track. I saw that, I heard that.
Yeah.
So just being able to pick up on the intuition, just knowing that was meant for you. And
exactly. And it's so fun, and it never gets old. And the more you communicate with the universe, the more that it kind of communicates back. So
yeah, that's right. I think this is gonna. So when's that going to be launching? Is that you said something you're working on? It's not really.
Yeah. So in the next couple of months. But yeah, I mean, I'm doing a lot of manifestation work right now. It's been amazing. Because I've talked about it and learned about it for a long time, but I really hadn't embodied it. I really hadn't integrated it. And it's kind of like, yeah, we're not always so good about taking our own medicine. So,
Right.
you know, I know Allison Muse, who keeps coming up, you know, we're learning similar things. And, you know, a lot of the experts in this field from a long time ago, the Neville Goddards and Napoleon Hills, and I've been studying Frances Scovel Shinn, who was talking a lot about this in the 1920s. You know, she preceded a lot of these people who are talking about this stuff now.
Carol.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And already things are just moving in the right direction. So I want to be able to teach other people this, because it's not just this woo-woo crap. It's like you're impressing upon your subconscious mind, and things are changing.
I think I'm going to send thank you for everyone being here in the chat. So thank you for being here, friends. But it really is important. And I believe that just, it is something that's taken me a long time, really. I've always considered myself like thinking and intellectualizing, and I have to figure it out. And then you realize the mind playing tricks on you, and really becoming a heart-centered, and following that intuition, and really realizing that that's connected to something way more beyond the 3D world that we're living in, right? The flesh, the human environments that we walk through, that we pass our time through, the situations, the scenarios that we run through. But once we close our eyes and we really look inside, there's a whole nother world inside of us that needs to be explored.
Absolutely.
I think that that's part of the message that a lot of us share. And for me personally, it's not one that I've been able to verbalize up until recently. And I continue to improve and figure out how to express that message, and how to encourage people to be more insightful and be more aware and be more in tune with themselves through these hard situations, hard traumas, these difficult pains. But there is healing inside that trauma.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. Let's see, Amanda. Thank you. Oh, and Gabe, amazing.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Fantastic. Thank you, Amanda. Your support. Jackie, always in the chat, always here supporting our conversations. It's been so, we're coming up on 50 minutes. Okay, I'm just looking at the clock. So, you know, as we start to wind down, 10 minutes, we've been through a couple different topics. Is there anything that you feel that maybe we haven't touched on that you'd want to go back to, or anything you want to share that's maybe
I think, you know, it's always hard talking about the past and you getting into some of the heavy stuff, but it was probably important just so people could know this was my journey, and this is why this is kind of why I do what I do. And, you know, please feel free to reach out. Even if I can't help, it's, you know, sending you to someone who I think could help. Because again, I know what I do is not for everyone, but I'm also a firm believer in you attract the people you're supposed to help. Like, you'll find each other. But even if I'm not for you, hopefully I could point you in the right direction.
So what's the best way for individuals to connect with you?
So you can connect with me on Instagram at I am Carol Elizabeth. You can connect with me on my website, Carol at carolcampos.com. And again, that's going to be changing, but for now, that's fine. I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Yes.
So yeah, there's a few different ways.
Okay, great. It's fantastic to share that information. I know that your story is very powerful, and you're doing some great work.
Oh, thank you.
Inspiration for me to see how you run your business and the work that you do, and how you are so vulnerable. I don't use that word because that's an overused word. It can be an overused word, I think, sometimes in these parts and in these in the work that we do, right? But just being able to know where you need help, and being able to I'm getting choked up.
Yeah.
But being able to find somebody that you can reach out to, just one person, hoping that you can find one person that can really help you start to get out of what you're going through, the darkest of the dark, and find a light worker to help you move.
Yeah, forward. And there's a lot of them out there. There really are.
Yes. Let me okay. So absolutely, there's so many. I know for me on LinkedIn, we have so many that are out there doing amazing work in these types of fields, but you are definitely one of them. So I couldn't wait to have you on tonight.
I'm so excited. I'm so sorry that I cut out. What did I miss? Did I miss anything good?
Oh, no. I mean, we just chit chat. I let everyone know about your links and how they would be able to connect with you. I had left it in. I had put up the ticker or whatever that's called for everyone. Just, but I got, keep the show going, and we knew you would come back. It's one of those things that it just happens. So no harm, no foul, no problem, no worries. I think it was great and it was fun.
Thank you so much for having me on. I was really looking forward to this because, the conversations we've had, the few that we've had have been so fun. It was like instantly I felt comfortable. And just so people know, I have not shared a lot about this with anyone else in an interview setting. And DJ, I just felt like, yep, this is the person to share this with.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But again, you're really just lighting the way for so many others. It's really what this is all about. It's putting ourselves out there and exposing our own mayhem and what we go through, and just sharing and breaking down the stigmas and break those judgments that people continue to pass. But we are still whole. We are still lovable. We are still worthy. We are still beautiful. We are still all those things. And it's so hard going back to all the negative thinking, the things that we do to ourselves, the negative behaviors that we don't even realize that we're doing, that become just so second nature from the situations and the trauma. The music's pumping up. So that's essentially, why I love to do this show. And that's why I thought you would be amazing with your stories. I know that you feel the same way, and you really can, with your story, you really project that we're going to get through it. And there is so much to we can continue to give.
Yeah. And you have so much more power over your situations than you think. There's all kinds of things you can do. So,
don't give up hope.
Yeah. Don't give up hope. Exactly.
That's it. Okay, my dear. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate you for being here. Everyone in the chat has been fabulous. Thank you, chat, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Everyone's input, shining light, sharing their experiences, keeping us company in this conversation today, Carol.
We're not alone,
honey.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, my dear. Well, you have a great night. I will pull you to the back. You're free to go. If you want to stay and hang out for me, that's fine too. But I know your time is so valuable. And I just really hope. Any final words?
Just thank you for having me, and for everyone out there who listened, thank you for listening. And if you need help, don't suffer in silence. There's help available.
All right. And don't forget to reach out to Carol. She is amazing. Connect with her. Send her a message. Let her know you saw her on the show. That would mean the world to me. She continues to shine light for so many of us. All right. Thank you, Carol, my dear.
Bye, everybody.
Another night, another episode, just done so fast. Beautiful humans, thank you. We're come to our closing. Again, this show's about bringing awareness, having these important conversations. We want to seek change for the greater good, break stigmas, all those stereotypes of mental health and disability, we're breaking them down. We want to here to promote accessibility, inclusion, offer support, create more opportunities through conversations and connections to promote healing and change. So thank you, everyone. Please don't forget to subscribe, follow, throw love into the chat. That's what it's all about. Connect with each other. The show is intended to often silence the voices of those that really could use assistance and support. So we're here on a mission to create a better society. Thank you so much to my guest, Carol. Next week, I have another amazing guest. We're going to switch gears and we're going to have someone that is a source of connection, light, and is very open about his experiences, and he shares his very deep vulnerabilities. He inspires others to be their best selves on his journey. He has stories of child abuse, alcohol and drug abuse, depression, and he continues to endure through his daily life in his journey. And he will share that with you. He's an amazing connector and a very busy LinkedIn live streamer. He is a dear friend of mine, Mr. Mike Paterano. I can't wait to have a very, I'm sure, in-depth conversation with him, as he is just, intense. So next week is going to be a good one. I really appreciate everyone that's been here. We just want to continue to break down those barriers, have those conversations. Thank you again, everyone, connecting with me, staying here with me, following me, subscribing to my channel. It's been truly an honor, and I hope everyone has a fantastic night. Thank you again. Good night.